The truth is that this is the best I can do. Hello everybody, how's it going? Let me just pop out the stream here. I'm a wee bit early because I had a bit of a snafu for those of you who are watching this after the fact. I accidentally set the reminder thingy of the stream starting way too early. So, yeah. My bad, sorry. I haven't had a stroke. Right, popping out the chat. Oops, what did I just toggle? There we go. So, the subject for the live stream today. Hey, Kidron. Hey, everybody. The subject of the live stream today is based on the a comment from the last video that I put up on the piercer and the roper. So what we've done is we've kind of spitballed this idea of a pair of hard-beaten like 1970s style cops who are like private detective type dudes. Well, not private detectives, detectives who are patrolling the mean streets of Menzoberranzan, and it's a piercer and a roper. I apologise if you can hear in the background. It's actually raining really heavily because it's winter over here in New Zealand, and we just happen to have a pouring downpour today. Hey, Chauncey. Yep, still got the dragon. Yes, the green dragon is reminding everybody that monetized super chats are available. So the cheese for today. Bucklers? I don't normally talk about shields per se. Bucklers are handy for sparring with weapons that have edges that you attack with the edges. They're not so great for thrusting weapons and things. So the cheese for the day is a cow's milk feta. It's with basil pesto from Puhoi Valley. Puhoi, as you know, one of my favourite New Zealand cheese manufacturers. Wickedly sharp knife. I just got this knife set. I like this knife set with the solid metal construction. They're really cheap and lightweight, and they last for ages. They're starting to manufacture these more in China now, which is great. I always try and buy products that aren't engineered to break. Feta cheese, basically a step up from ricotta. It's still a cultured cheese, but it's almost like advanced yogurt, really. So there it is. Wow, that basil is really, or basil, depends on how you pronounce it. Woo. It's delightful. It's almost overpowering, actually. Because you get a really strong hit of basil, and then really, really strong, sharp bite of the feta cheese afterwards. It's very salty. That's really good. Although I think it would go very well with a salad. The knife is stainless steel. It looks like this would be stainless steel which is sourced from outside of China. China hasn't got a very good track record of making very good steel itself. Alright, and that concludes the cheese section of the show. Yeah, I know, Dragon Turtle, exactly. So New Zealand has got we've got a free trade agreement with China, and we've also got a heavy amount of Pacific traffic which comes in from China. So there's basically container ships coming from China all the time. So the shipping from China to New Zealand is almost free. It's ridiculously cheap. And so New Zealanders have the luxury of shopping on Alibaba and AliExpress and various other places, Xiaomi and various other mass importers. So these are the companies, like whenever you see something on Facebook, which is like a little an item that they're trying to sell you, what they'll be doing is they'll be setting up a web store, and you'll be ordering from that website, paying their 20% markup, and all that website does is it directs it directly to the manufacturer over in China, who then sends the product from there. So the person who's actually setting up that website doesn't do anything. They don't have any inventory. They don't have any overheads whatsoever. They're just earning an extra 20% on every sale. So don't buy things off Facebook. Whenever you see a product on Facebook that looks really good, go to one of those big manufacturing direct sellers like Alibaba or AliExpress and look for the product there. Don't go through Amazon, same sort of deal. People will be selling independently through Amazon, and you're just ordering from China by proxy. So order from them directly. Oh, nice, Dyke Strider. Hey, Maverick. What were you expecting? Back from the land of ghosts and fairies. Yeah, so sorry for that diversion into basically telling you how to save yourself lots of money. Yeah, dragons absolutely do eat golden gems. They eat gemstones of all kinds. And this is partly because they're elemental creatures, so they can survive by consuming elemental stuff. Did you miss the cheese and stuff? Tell you what, I'll eat another little piece of cheese just for the people who are arriving late, since technically I'm early. So we've got a Puhoi Valley basil cow's milk pesto, basil, and in a cow's milk feta. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't use Facebook. I don't. I post to Twitter, but I don't read Twitter, which is why I didn't hear about the Pro Jared thing until quite later on. If you don't know what I just talked about with the Pro Jared thing, oh, wow, drama. No, what I wanted to show you this morning, aside from talking about Piercer and Roper, the cop show, I'm seriously considering putting like a little cartoon of Piercer and Roper at the end of videos, just like little snippets from their life in Menzoberranzan. So you have your little guitar thingy, and you'll be able to hear that playing in the background. No, what I wanted to talk about is the Bones 4. My miniatures finally arrived. So Reaper, as you know, has a world famous record breaking. So what I did is I got sets. I got the Lost Valley expansion. I got the core set. I got the Dreadmere expansion. And I got the Dark Reach expansion. And oh man, there are just so many miniatures. It is crazy. So it's all wrapped up in plastic mostly. There's terrain and lots of critters. Just so many. It's unbelievable. Get things like dinosaurs. There's some assembly for some of them. Others, that's a saurian. Let's see, I'll just take it out of there. Saurian. Oh, yes. Sailor Jared. Oh. So, you guys don't want to actually talk about that whole Pro Jared thing, do you? Surely not. You would have heard about it everywhere else. So yeah, there's too many Reaper miniatures in that box to show you them all. It's crazy. My challenge rating. Hi, Seamus. I will. I'll be posting up pictures of the dinosaurs, Kevin, on the community board when I paint them and stuff. Um, Otherwise, just go and look at the Reaper website. No, no, we don't. Good. Yeah, no, we don't. I will say, okay. Aside from the drama, I'm just talking about tangentially to the drama. This probably will have some sort of impact on the way Dungeons and Dragons is presented to the public. I mean, the marketing strategy for Dungeons and Dragons has kind of centered on the celebrity culture live streaming gaming sort of thing going on. So Acquisitions Incorporated, Dice Camera Action, Critical Role, the D&D live streams. So this is, Chris Perkins' camp essentially has just been bombshelled by this. There's probably all sorts of damage control going on in the background. It's, they'll be trying to spin it and turn the publicity a good way, but it's going to impact the hobby. It is going to impact the hobby. It'll have ripple effects, because you know how like Hasbro executives will not want to touch this with a 10-foot barge pole. We could see a downplaying of like Twitch streaming, maybe. Losing at least one character, I'd say Dice Camera Action is out of business. So it will have an effect. It will have an effect on the hobby, somewhat. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons it's like a tip of the iceberg sort of thing. So that stuff, that public face of Dungeons and Dragons, where you got Stephen Colbert and Joe Manganiello, showing up on TV and stuff, is the tip of the iceberg. The real chunk of the iceberg of Dungeons and Dragons is us playing games and talking about it on live streams and things like that. So, so that's not going to be affected. Yeah, Gerbil. Very much so. So, and it's just so pathetic. It's so pathetic, and I can understand why everybody is just hating on this guy, and he totally deserves it. Totally deserves it. I agree, Ian. I'm talking about the corporate side of it pulling back somewhat from the streaming aspect of it. Like they're going to be setting up some sort of a Dungeons and Dragons convention just for Dungeons and Dragons, and a large part of that will be setting up studio space for social media people, streamers and stuff, to be working there. Oh, don't tempt me, Daniel. Don't unleash the mighty glue stick on the Dungeons and Dragons scene over in America. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, Dragon Turtle. People need to learn that just because something bad is even remotely related to you, that does not make you bad. I really just hate the spot. Guilt by association. Now this is toxic stuff. Yeah, it is toxic, but that's part and parcel with the whole movement, which has benefits long term, right? Long term, we're talking more equality, we're talking better treatment of people by people. But in the meantime, we've got this crazy reaction culture to everything, where it is literally like Roman mobs. So social media has become like a mob drama thing, and there are people who have transitioned into being bullies and that sort of thing, which victimize people. And I think people need to turn around and realize that they're being manipulated by a few people into doing very bad things to individuals. And I've been on the receiving end of some pretty wicked stuff as well. It, in a way, my YouTube career is a result of it. Because it motivated me more than anything to get knuckled down and just show people what I could do. So yeah, and be out there and actually talk to people, and people see who I am and what I do. Heralded. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, it was a cow's milk feta basil cheese, or basil feta cheese. Yeah, I mean Satine Phoenix, she did it professionally, um, and all power to her. She's got all sorts of problems in her past. I've never met her. I'm sure she's a fantastic person, but what this guy did, uh, not cool. It's abusive and nasty. So, Bones Miniatures, Menzoberranzan. We should get back to talking about. Well, we are still talking about D&D tangentially. Yeah. So he's a YouTuber who did game reviews, and he just topped him like a million subscribers on a channel. And I think he's just topped a record for losing 100,000 subscribers in one day, because he cheated on his wife with another member of the gaming group that he was live streaming very publicly with. And the wife didn't found out about it, and um, very publicly tweeted about it. Then all sorts of like nude pictures of the guy were released, and it turns out from a lot of people that he had been messaging and interacting with had been soliciting underage nudes from young women who were basically fans of his. So he'd basically been grooming. So yeah, it's the worst. It's just the worst. The worst fall from grace you could possibly imagine. And this is a guy who was very much on board with the whole Me Too feminism thing movement. So he was, fairly outspoken. And yeah, it's just a roaring dumpster fire. Yeah, exactly, Robert. I agree totally. It's between him, his soon to be ex wife, and his victims, essentially, and the courts. I didn't really pay that much attention to their stuff in the first place, and I certainly don't care now. All I'm really worried about is the hobby in general and the direction that it's going. I mean, in the long run, it's more exposure for Dungeons and Dragons because they're very much heavily involved with it. So everybody is there's two camps. One is the people who knew about these people and are shocked by what's happened, and the other is the people who just smell this salacious drama and come flocking towards it because they love to throw stuff on memes and stuff onto the dumpster fire. And in a way, it's getting even more attention to Dungeons and Dragons because learning about them, of course, exposes them to D&D. No, strangely enough, Matt Mercer has nothing to do with this. I'm honestly of the opinion that Matt Mercer is a genuinely good human being. Genuinely a good human being. Same with Chris Perkins. I think Chris Perkins is a genuinely awesome guy. It just shines out of him. The creativity and stuff, you know? Kevin, I like raptors. And there's a really good set in this. Which one is it? It's the Lost Valley expansion. Actually, I will show you these ones. I'm just going to pour them out on the table here. Excuse the noise. That big thump was the there's this like mammoth tusk and hide tent longhouse sort of thing with all these cave people and stuff. The raptors, and there's some stone giants in here that look really awesome as well. But there's a whole set of raptors that look like that. So they've got the whole big claw on the back foot and everything. They're in various poses. You can just see it like... there's a axe beak. Looks really good. So I'm going to have fun painting those. The first little painting thingy that I'm doing is all of the goblins, because I've got like... there's about 18 goblins, and there's a bunch of goblin heroes and warriors and shamans and stuff as well. So it's a full band of goblins in the core set, as far as I know. But yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 raptors here. So that is a really good raptor encounter, a rap attack, which I'm quite looking forward to springing on the players at some point, because they literally do spring out of nowhere. Yeah, some people object about dinosaurs in Dungeons and Dragons, but they're not Earth dinosaurs. They're entirely different. There's lots and lots of crocodiles in this set, I noticed. Crocodiles and giant lizards. And this is the Allosaurus, which is realistically sized. I mean, technically the raptors are too big and the Allosaurus is too small. But, like, that's an Allosaurus next to your cave person. So it's too small. But it could be a juvenile Allosaurus. I don't know. Like, that's it next to a bear, for instance. So it's a lot smaller than you would expect. I thought it was going to be like a big thing, but instead you get this big giant... where is it? This big giant mammoth guy. I mean, what the hell? When am I going to use a big giant humanoid mammoth? Unless it's like a Ravnica campaign and it's a Loxodon primitive god or something, I don't know. But that's alright. I do like that there is... Like the stone giants in this are really good. I do like that there are saurian folk. And the other dinosaurs are really good. What? Why are you guys talking about flat Earth? Oh, you're talking about... The Utah raptor. Yeah, raptors are generally... Like, there was a wide variety of raptors, for instance. And the brain pan of some of these raptors is heavily indicative of intelligence. So raptors, I think, were probably... Some of them were as smart as an ape. So there we go. That's your assembled wacky dinosaur. Now that is a fairly large miniature when you consider that. There's your humanoid there. That's not bad. Don't know if I've got any other humanoid miniatures in here at the moment. My painting station is out in the other room. Yeah. And it's going to be fairly hot at work. So essentially I'll just be producing videos all week, and then on my days off I'll be painting miniatures and drawing cartoons. Where My Myth Barbarian. Yeah, that's... yeah. Carnotaurus. Ankylosaurus? Yeah. So with the cartoons, I don't know if I'm going to be doing a regular series or anything like that. Just every now and then I'll be inspired to do a scene. So keep talking about, you know, Roper and Piercer, and I'll keep illustrating bits and pieces. The other big announcement that I have, awesome minis, yeah, so many minis, is that I'm not too far away from finishing the core monster manual. I do want to go back and do a few of the videos over again. Like this one was I was doing the piercer, but I was also redoing the roper, because the roper was the first monster ecology video I did 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago. 5 years. All this grey hair now. So I want to do the troll video again. I want to do various other videos again, redo them properly. But I'm getting pretty close. The next up, this week, I'm going to be doing the Pixie, the Quaggoth, and the Revenant. Then it's Sahuagin, Salamander, Satyr. Then it'll be Scarecrow, Spectre, probably Sphinx. I might do a bonus one with the Troll. Hey, thanks, Robert. A Dilophosaurus? No, I don't think there's any Dilophosaurs. Not that I know. There is a big sort of lizard thingy that you could put a frill around its neck with some green stuff and call it a Dilophosaur. So in the expansion, there's also like a Pterofolk as well. Yeah. It's mostly just a few dinosaurs and a lot of cave people. But still pretty good. The core set, however, is just massive. Just massive amount of stuff. Also tons and tons of like Pathfinder character minis. I mean, tons of stuff. And when you consider that I have to paint all of this. So trolls, then it'll be the Water Weird, the Wraith, and the Yeti, and some notes on monsters, on animals and NPCs, and that'll be it. That'll be the core monster manual completed. Then the real job begins, because as you may have seen from the piercer and can a succubus be true neutral? Yes. Totally indifferent. Yes, they can be. Yep. I'm of the opinion that any intelligent creature can have a range of different alignments. You know, they don't all have to be the same thing. What's the name of the big water Rex? I don't know. Laughing at grey hair. Yeah, well, I like my grey hair. What can I say? I'm looking forward to being a wizard. So the big project for the back half of this year is going to be starting on a master monster manual. So essentially what I'm going to be doing is lots and lots of illustrations like the one of the Piercer and Roper, along with editing down all of the scripts from 5 pages to hopefully 2 pages each at the most for each monster. I'll be essentially boiling down all of that information about the creatures from all the different editions and presenting a master monster manual which is stock full of lore on the creatures. So it'll be used in conjunction with the monster manual. So you basically look at the monster manual for the stats, and then you would flip to the master manual to learn all about those monsters, their environments, their lairs, how to use them in encounters and that sort of thing. You know, all the stuff that I put in my videos. So essentially it would be a book version condensed down of all of my video scripts, along with illustrations from me and also artists that I commission. And then when it's all done and put together in typeset and everything, then I will work out how much it'll cost to put it into production, and I'll take it to a Kickstarter and hopefully get some books made. That's my plan. Caramel, my primary bit of advice for making your own homebrew monsters is use another monster as a template and just change what they can do, essentially. Other than that, I find combining 2 different monsters, two different creatures, makes for really good monsters. Otherwise, you'll need to get something like this. Ugh. This 2-book set here, so large it had to be printed in 2 different parts, is called The Spawning Pool of the Elder Things. The only reason why I have this printed out in from PDF form is because you can't get this anywhere. I don't know where or when it's going to be in production again. But essentially, it's a massive collection of random roll tables for creating creatures of all kinds, based on 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons and other Dungeons and Dragons games. It's more of a old school revival sort of resource, but you can use it for 5th edition D&D, and you can roll up just completely random monsters to your heart's content with that. Hey, Bumbling Bureaucrat. Oh. Gelatinous Raptor. Nice. Please make an extended cut with the unabridged scripts. Well, the problem is each one of those monsters is like five pages on average. Some of them up to 7 pages of script, and that's fairly tight-packed stuff. So that would be a book like that. It would be ridiculously huge. So I'm not going to be cutting down anything that isn't just extraneous guff, but you can cut down a lot of what I say to make condense it down so that it's still me talking. You know, you'll be able to hear my voice when you're reading it, but it'll just be relevant information. You know, and as well as all of my little tips and trips for things that inspire different uses of creatures. So it'll be me. It'll be all of my videos and all of the information that is available to anybody who just watches the channel, just without the ums and the ahs and, you know, bits in between. Yeah, it's the story that interests me too. It's the lore and the story of the monsters and how they all fit together. Because am I going to do the gelatinous cube video again? Maybe. So I've actually skipped over the oozes to get to the pixie, so maybe I should go back and do some more on oozes, because I don't think I've done the grey ooze. There's also a white ooze as well, an Arctic version. What if Grix could regenerate too? Oof. Super Grix. Yeah, so I don't want to do a full-sized thing. It would just be too big. It would be too expensive and too hard to ship. Yeah. And of course, the real time-consuming thing, and the biggest challenge for me would be all the artwork, because I find artwork for me is when I do sketch, I sketch quite quickly, like that one for the Piercer and the Roper I did over a period of like 2-hour innings. So maybe a total of 4 to 6 hours of sketching, spread out over 2 days. A golem redux. I've just did a video on the golems. More specific golems, probably. No, I haven't done Dewey Bleaks and Zugtmoy yet. They are pretty major, actually, so I need to put a lot of effort into those ones. But yeah, sketching for me is kind of like mentally draining. It drains a lot of my spoons, so to speak. I don't know why. I think it's because when I got out of school originally, I was going to be a graphic artist, and so I went to do like a graphic art training for 10 weeks. It's actually supposed to be like a 5-year course to train to be a graphic artist. I never actually ended up being a graphic artist, but I did do a lot of freelance graphic work when I was traveling around in my youth, like, you know, doing architectural drawings for people who were making building alterations and they needed to submit plans to the council, and so they got me to draw what a building extension would look like and things like that. So, and I've done business cards and all that sort of stuff as well. But of course, my passion has always been drawing and sculpting monsters. And yeah, I can draw other things. Like, I had a picture somewhere of a kitten that I did the other day. I've lost it. I might have thrown it away. In response to somebody saying, why don't you draw kittens? I can draw kittens. Oh, there it is. So I can draw kittens, but not very well, and I don't generally draw cute things. I draw monsters, and I draw them well because I really enjoy it. So my plan is to accompany all of the stuff that I want to do in the book with lots of pictures of them, um, looking as realistic as possible. When dragons die, no, I haven't done a lot on Ravenloft. I know. I'm trying to get around to Ravenloft. I hear you. I hear all of the requests for Ravenloft. I really do. And the planes of demi planes of dread. Dragon Turtle. When dragons die, is it an explosion or is the place just irradiated with elemental energy, making the regional lair effects times 1,000? It's sometimes it's an explosion. Most of the time, it's just an irradiated effect of elemental energy, which is released into the environment and just can't drain away. Oh, wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah, cute monsters. Crenchars. Yeah, I was surprised actually that Crenchars aren't in 5th edition because they are such a gnarly monster. They're essentially a pack hunting, like a wolf type cat, wolf hyena thing, where their lips, the skin, peels back from their face, and this horrible sort of skeletal, muscular beast roars at them to scare the bejesus out of them. And cause creatures to run away, which tires them out, and then the Crenchar closes in and kills them. So it's a straight up monster, but it's pretty good. Yeah. Heard any rumours on the Dark Sun campaign? No, Matt, I have not. That's the first I've heard about a rumour of a Dark Sun campaign. Oh, so Adam was like a flesh golem, but like more like a classic Frankenstein golem. Ravenloft Castle is it's a demonically infused place, which is essentially alive. So it's got a great big. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it has some unusual architectural features. Have Illithids ever tried to put a tadpole in one of their own kind? If not, what do you think would happen? Nothing. Nothing. So Ceramorphosis is where the tadpole latches onto and eats away the body and transforms it into an illithid flesh. So essentially, it grows inside of a body, over a body, and transforms it. So if you put an illithid tadpole into an illithid, it wouldn't have anything to eat that wasn't recognizable as its own kind. And the only thing that eats illithids is elderbrains. Elderbrains feed on the tadpoles, which are in their tanks. But of course, their requirement for physical sustenance is very low. They mainly subsist on mental energy. So imagine that the elderbrain is essentially a replicator that can create its own mental energy food, and only every now and then it requires a little bit of fatty deposits from the tadpoles to maintain its brain stuff. Most of its brain stuff is actually shunted into a extra dimensional space, maintained telepathically, psychically. Non-Euclidean architecture, yeah. Ooh, straight lines. Highly radioactive electrocuting crystal golem. I like it. I haven't read Mary Shelley's original book, no, about Frankenstein. Have you seen in some settings second edition incarnation based on undead elementals? Oh, no, I haven't seen any undead elementals. Have you drawn Godzilla faces? I could. Hey Nick, thank you. I love your videos. Thank you for making them all for us. Ah, you're most welcome. Thanks, Nick. That's really nice. What's my favourite dragon type? Ooh. Oh man, that's a gnarly question. Depends on what you're asking me to do with that dragon, really. Like if you're asking me to manipulate the players and to mess them up, green dragons. If you're asking me for the absolute worst, most lethal kind of dragon to unleash on a town or something, black dragons. If you're asking me for the mysterious sage that comes to you in your dreams, that would be the gold dragon. So different dragons, different requirements. Napoleon did nothing wrong. Can you survive a mind flayer tadpole entering your brain? No. The original you is gone. It's dead. It's digested. So your brain is wholly transformed into a mind flayer. Sometimes there's a lingering bit of memory of the original person, but the original self, their identity, their meanness is gone. There is a legend amongst the mind flayers that at one point a mind flayer will seromorphosis will occur, and the person's original intact personality will transfer itself onto the new mind flayer. So essentially, thinking that it still is that person that was. It isn't. That person's already gone. Their soul has departed their body. The tadpole has got its own soul. But the original person is dead. That illithid will then think that it is that original person. It will have an identity crisis, essentially. And illithids are very scared of this happening because, they don't like that idea. They are kind of xenophobic. Yeah, illithid are pretty cool, I've got to say. So, Jacob, the answer is seromorphosis has strict physical requirements. It's humanoids because that's the body mass that the tadpole can handle converting. If the illithids ever figured out a way of giving the illithid tadpole sensu beans and basically boosting their energy, so if they had illithids love building labs and making crazy experiments and making monstrous creatures and stuff. Even more so than the drow, they love to experiment and create monstrous things. They're the mad scientists of the Underdark. So you can have a situation where they're trying to get illithids to get their tadpoles to convert a giant creature into one of them, such as a dragon or a cave giant or something like that, and they're trying to convert it into an illithid, and really the tadpole is struggling to survive through that process because it's incredibly grueling for them to do that. I mean, they're just babies, right? So if they found out some way of feeding it some sort of nutrient fluid or psychically boosting it, or the elder brain is investing a lot of its energy into it, perhaps they could do it. But could they feed that giant-sized illithid enough nourishment in the form of brains and stuff to actually sustain it? Maybe there's just a hard limit to how big an illithid could get. We know that neolithids are huge, but we don't know that they feed entirely just on brains. They may actually feed on other stuff as well. Can you become a mind flayer if you use a tadpole in a magic jar spell? Possibly. So we're getting into territory of where you ask me questions about something which isn't supported in any sort of lore. I'm just going to say, if you want to do it in your game, go for it. I don't have any opinion on what's right or wrong. I can just tell you what's in the lore or what's not in the lore, and that's not covered by the lore. So go for it. Go for it, is what I say. The rule of cool. You ever see a good piece of art, fancy art, and just think, I must write an encounter? Yes. And illithid mammoth, exactly. Oh, nice. Yeah, so we know that illithid ropers exist, and ropers are large-sized creatures. but they're large-sized creatures mainly because they have this big rocky shell around the outside of them. They may actually be more of a borderline medium-sized creature on the inside of it. So the seromorphosis actually takes place because the roper's fleshy substance, essentially they're a large cephalopod, is easy for the mind flayers to convert. So, but we're talking something like a kraken or something like that. That's a really, really, really impossible task for a mind flayer to convert. Oh, Nicholas. So guns and Dungeons and Dragons. Essentially, there's no automated manufacturing of things in Dungeons and Dragons unless you produce a production line of golems to produce the precision manufacturing that mass production of guns would require. Otherwise, they would all be individually artisanally built, and getting ammunition for them would be next to impossible. So you have to find alchemists who can make gunpowder. Gunpowder is not widely it's known about as a wondrous powder, like a wondrous item substance in D&D. But you've got things like tanglefoot bags and, alchemical fire and all that sort of stuff. So they'd be like, why? Why would you bother doing that when you can just get a wand of magic missile? A wand of magic missile never misses. You have to actually fire and hit somebody with a firearm. And then once it runs out of charges, you can't just go to any wizard and get them to recharge it. No, you have to get specific manufacturing of bullets. So it's like firing a wondrous crafted item in another wondrous crafted item, and if you don't have any of those original wondrous crafted item, then the other wondrous crafted item is nothing more than essentially a heavy stick. Useless. Also, guns are vulnerable to damage as well, so they get wet, they get beaten around, they don't fire straight. So a magic missile is far superior. About the only time where a gun would be really superior to a magic missile would be in a situation where they've got a mystic shield. So you're going up against a wizard, and you don't happen to have any close range fighters on you. You're all sort of ranged fighters and things, and he's got a spell that gets rid of arrows and crossbow bolts. So you take out essentially it's a self-propelled rocket sling. Essentially that's what a projectile is. So if it's vulnerable to a sling stone, it's vulnerable to a bullet. They both fire bullets, actually. Yeah, wands can be dispelled. Guns cannot. Yep, gnomes and dwarves make guns in Dungeons and Dragons. It's actually canonical in Forgotten Realms that the gnomes of Lantern do produce firearms. Shield golems and firearms. And dwarves probably have been producing guns for many years. Yeah. And this is not going to be like, this is going to be at best, a flintlock rifle. Chances are it'll probably be, it'll make sense to have a combination of magic and firearm. So magic that sparks and shoots. So you expend a spell slot, feed it into your gun, and it'll give you a couple of shots. It provides the pyrotechnics, and if need be, you can substitute the pyrotechnic spell for black powder. So if you're in the situation where you don't have black powder, you can still use magic, and if you're in a situation where magic is dispelled, say you're facing a beholder, you can still shoot it in the eye. Yeah, so Mimi, you got a good point there. It's a mutually exclusive sort of technology. You're either going to go the technological route or you're going to go the magical route. I mean, if you had magic available to you, like for instance, electricity is a kind of magic that we use. This invisible power that flows through these metal wires, that we can manipulate it with magnetic fields, which you can't see either. To somebody who is completely unfamiliar with electricity, everything that we do using electricity is magical. So being able to talk to somebody on the other side of the world, being able to talk to all of you at once, projecting my face and voice across the world under an incandescent bulb, it's amazing. All of these magical things that we can do with electricity. And it's a short step away from being able to produce force fields, anti-gravity effects, that sort of thing. So we're getting towards mimicking things which magic can do in Dungeons and Dragons. Guns are only viable if you have a sniper rifle. Yeah, so it'll be a long flintlock rifle. A gun with sling bullets and cantrip has gunpowder, yeah. An air rifle could be made with a gust of wind spell, yes. Flamethrower and web cannon, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were used alongside swords for over 200 years. Don't forget that crossbows were the revolution that changed people from using armor and stuff like that. Crossbows were the projectile weapons that most changed the world. And then it wasn't until there was mass wars and stuff with artillery weapons and things like that that gunpowder really became the pivotal thing. But what happens to Mind Flayer souls? Do they go to their god? With Mind Flayers, it's kind of tricky. We don't really know that they do have their own god. Like Ilsensign is one of their gods. There's a few Mind Flayer gods, but they're alien beings. So it may be that their identity is wholly swallowed up by the Elder Brain. So what happens when an Elder Brain dies? It could be that astral versions of all of those entities go on to somewhere else. We don't know. We just don't know. But there aren't any Mind Flayers walking around in the celestial realms. That we do know. A necromancer lizard folk character who has a gun. Nice. Can we make a golem filled with a positive elemental? I'd imagine so. An arcane trickster with repeater crossbow. Yeah, like if you use it as an extension of the already existing sort of magical effects and things, then fine. It's basically like a mechanical meta magic. So guns do stuff in the game that is already done by other stuff in the game. It's not unbalancing the game to say that there are guns. The only difference is, and this is the critical thing about guns, is they put the power in the hand of a person who has no training whatsoever other than to point and shoot. So if you gave a bunch of magical wands that have no requirements, that you just pick it up and go Zot, and it fires off a magical missile and hits with unerring accuracy, then your only real defense against that militia of magic missile weapons is magical shields, which protect against force attacks. But yeah, a peasant can pick up and fire a rifle. They may not necessarily be able to reload it. A positive golem makes plants grow where it steps. I love that idea. The heat-treated plate of the upper class, I don't think so. Yeah, so the heat-treated, the tempered steel of, say, Italy was quite tough. But crossbows with the proper armor-piercing head on it will go through just about anything. I've seen a crossbow bolt that went straight through somebody's thigh and through their saddle and pinned them to a horse. And they died underneath the horse, which is why they found what did it. Could an Eldritch Blast substitute for a flare gun? Yeah. Yeah, there's rules for it in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Exactly, Dragon Turtle. So, taverns in Menzoberranzan. So Menzoberranzan is it's a matriarchal society of drow in the Underdark. So picture this: you've got Piercer and Roper, detectives, who are roaring around Menzoberranzan in essentially a Dodge Ram, souped up alchemical Dodge Ram built by gnomes from Blingdingstone. And through these narrow cobblestone alleys of Menzoberranzan between stalactites and stuff. And it's got the whole place has got this sort of noir feel about it. Sinister, feminine noir feel about Menzoberranzan. And these effeminate, male. And you've got these 1970s style monstrous cops. So you got like this roper which like slamming the suspect, and this cast of characters that we've come up with for it. So you've got the mayor of this particular region of the town is a beholder. Yeah, the beholder mayor. The bugbear is the sergeant. He's not the chief. He's not the captain of the police force. It's an aboleth. It's the captain of the police force. This tired old aboleth with like glasses. Perpetually in a stained, sweaty. He always looks sweaty because he's covered in slime, right? And he's like spitting out whatever coffee is on the table, and this coffee's been there for 6 months. And so they like picture the piercer never says anything. He's a piercer, so he'll usually end up solving the case by like dropping out of nowhere on the suspect. And Roper is a loudmouth, right? Because the Roper's mouth is this big maw, so he's always like yelling about something. He's got this big handlebar mustache and uses his tendrils to like wrap up people and you're under arrest. And he wraps them up in a tendril and snaps it off. Exactly, we need this. And yeah, eat your heart out, Detective Pikachu. Exactly. So picture him slamming a Grimlock up against the wall, and the Grimlock's got like this big fringe of hippie hair, like he's like a homeless street person on the streets of Menzoberranzan, but he's their snitch who hears everything going on in the street, like can't see anything, but it's like, I smelled his perfume. So we're going to come up with call him Itchy or something like that. The Roper is Danny DeVito. Oh, yeah. No, we're not talking about that anymore, Ethan. You're going to have to go back and watch the start of the stream to talk about that. Yeah, Puffin Forest. Yeah, exactly. Why can't a bard just be a vocalist? I see nothing wrong with that. Wonder if lawn darts are illegal in Faerun. Well, actually, they were a very legitimate weapon, which the Norse used, actually. Because you could carry a few of them with your shield arm, locked into your shield, and you could carry a few darts in that hand there. You've got your hand axe or something like that. And essentially what you do is you just stow your hand axe, grab a dart, and hurl it like a grenade while you're charging at a massed shield wall, essentially. So it would go sailing over the shield wall and straight down on top of somebody else. So into the head or the back or something like that. So you'd at least take out a sword arm by, you know what it's like when you get a muscle out in your back or something like that. Imagine getting perforated in your shoulder. Oh! This thing crumping down on top of you. So highly effective. And you could carry a few of those things. And you could toss them a surprisingly long distance. What was the distance? Something like 120 feet or more? Quite a ways. Yeah, when Piercer gets a drop on a perp, he really gets a drop on them. Yeah, it's like, hit him off, Piercer. And then Roper's like, he's surrounded, and we cut to the scene, and then there's just a picture of Piercer dropping out of nowhere. Oh, good question, Cog. We don't really know a lot about Null. There's very, very conflicting 4th edition lore about Tiamat and Bahamut, obviously. But Tiamat and Bahamut had other siblings, other platinum dragons in the original lore. There wasn't just one platinum dragon, there were a few. There are a few. A Were Dragon Knight. Prince, Tiefling Dragon Knight, Were Dragon Lich. Well, yeah, I haven't yet talked about Were Dragons. You almost got away, but Piercer got the drop on him. Where's Piercer? Don't know. Could be anywhere. Yeah, Sergeant's like yelling out, I need you guys for domestic abuse duty, and they're like nowhere to be seen, and they're like standing right there. Drow democracy. Yeah, there's been some sort of a revolution in Menzoberranzan. We're instituting the rule of law. We've got district attorneys, judges. Of course, the judge is a Drow matron mother, so they can only come so far. Yeah, Tiamat's a major interdimensional player, but she's so self-absorbed that yeah, otherwise doesn't have much oomph. Fletch javelins, yeah. Yeah, where's Piercer? He's hanging around somewhere. They're always on stakeouts. I love it. Going back to my apartment. What apartment? What are you talking about? You've never seen such dedicated cops. They're always on the beat. Always. He doesn't even have a house. Of course they've got the car, right? So they're racing around town, and then they get out and they're like 10 foot of movement speed. Gelatinous cubes. Now the gelatinous cubes would be like the fry chefs. Like, yeah, can I take your order? Drive through. Yeah, the Drow are operating an illegal slave ring as opposed to the legal slave ring. So it's like a black market. Always on stakeouts. God, that's fantastic. Will I cover some basic D&D one day? Well, yes. I don't see why not. I started out on basic D&D. Here's basic D&D for you. You can be a dwarf or an elf. It's a race and a player character class. There's definitely a rat in the department. They're going to find out who. Tune in next week. Tax evasion, exactly. Oh yeah, a myconid drug ring. Shrooms, goddamn shrooms. Yeah, masterwork. It really brings new meaning to the long arm of the law. Hey, don't worry, Dragon Lord. It's still there. I just started slightly early as a sorry to the people who got confused by my gaff when I was doing the scheduling for the stream. Lock steady. Nice Dr. Horrible icon there. Yeah, composite bow is plus X bow from quality, not magic. There you go. Exactly. Keep it simple. A myconid librarian. Cop bar in Menzoberranzan where they hang out. The bartender can be a feisty mid-30s hobgoblin chick that's secretly in love with Roper. He's got to have like an ex-wife that you never see. Possibly a spawn of the deep. A deep spawn. Ah, nice one, ugly weirdo. Good Terry Pratchett reference there. An orangutan librarian. That's the thing. He wouldn't need to cuff him because essentially the roper would be the roper tendrils. He'd just like tie them up and then snap it off, and then just grow new tendrils. Oh yeah, cave fisher blood is illegal moonshine. That's true. Neolithid called Neo. The truth is, there is no spoon. If you threw a acidic slime into a bag of devouring, the bag of devouring would win. I'm not even going to touch that one, Dragon Turtle. Yeah, security growls just float in and paralyze intruders. They're like the taser police. And instead of like talking on walkie-talkies, you know how they like... They're just like... Exactly. See, there's just so many possibilities. Purple Dragon Mob Boss. The troglodytes would be your street workers, essentially cleaning up the trash. That's my trash! It's a union job! Troglodyte union. Just don't do anything unless it's like, you know, a union job. Huh? Pangolins, yeah. Very rare. Awesome pangolins. Stop resisting. Stop moving. Ex-wife a hook horror. Right, Umber Hulk. If you throw a sphere of annihilation into a bag of devouring, what happens to the creature? Why does it have to be a bag of devouring? A bag of devouring is just a bag of holding that's wrong. That's poorly constructed. Doppelganger circus. Both, Caramel. Cleaning and eating the trash. Goblin Mafia. Umber Hulk is a bouncer. Yeah, definitely. Cartel preachers. Yeah. What's the goal of this week, preacher? In Menzoberranzan, you're the attraction in the circus. Ooh, hooker horror. Street worker is a hook horror. Hook horror of negotiable affection. Shambling mounds just hiding in plain sight. Pickpocket. Yeah, doppelgangers would be terrifying in real life. Carrion crawlers, yeah. What if they've got a dog, a police dog, which is a carrion crawler? Or a Zorn, or something like that. Ooh, I like that dragon turtle. The mouth of an extra-dimensional creature. Really? I don't recall that at all. Well, in that case, yeah, wouldn't it like eating oozes and stuff? Oh, the Neogi would traffic anybody. Neogi would be like just like the snivelling, weedy, weaselly, backstabbing black market trader, because that's exactly what they're designed to be. Department of Motor Vehicles run by flail snails. Yeth Hound is the police dog. Oh, tugs instead of dumpsters. There'd be like a dumpster with a little welcome mat out the front and a letterbox, and it's actually an Otyug's house, and you just throw trash in it, and thank you. Evidence lockup is run by a mimic, a Tropist judge. Ugh. Yeah, carrion crawler sniffer dogs, zombie hillbillies. Yeah, exactly. The Neogi are always trying to avoid taxes. Well, exactly. That's one of the things. Like, serious point though, Dragon Turtle, with the way that the Underdark people consider the surface. It really is this desolate, high alpine wasteland as far as they're concerned. It's like, why would you go and live on a mountain peak? All there is like horrible big trolls and stuff, and these little scrabbly creatures that'll kill you and take your stuff. To them, the surface world is bleak, cold, desolate, dangerous, and pointless. You know, it's not actually like the Underdark is certainly dangerous, but it's an exciting sort of dangerous that they're familiar with. Up in the surface world, things can dive bomb you from the sky. You know, they just don't like the surface world. They don't want to live there. So the Drow don't want to live on the surface world. As far as they're concerned, they live in the Underdark. They own the Underdark. They are the Underdark. The magical energy, the phase-rest energy that sustains a lot of the Underdark ecologies, started when the Drow came down. Because it was sent there, it was created there to sustain them, essentially. 11,000 years ago. Yeah, this fifth Neblin would be like, thank you, come again. And then runs the quickie mark. And shoot one and another one just pops up. Pennywise, I would go with the original It movie, where Pennywise is actually an illusion projecting phase spider. Someone called the Dungeon Masters Guild. We have a new module to publish. Yeah. Look, I'm fully in favour of everybody just contributing ideas to this. Absolutely. Quickling Mart. Quickling delivery service. Pizzas. Quickling pizza. Fastest pizzas in town. Hey, Alexander. Today's weather report. It's moist. It's always moist. It's always hot and moist in Menzoberranzan. Humans obviously need vitamin D. So we need sunlight. And we are well adapted to the surface because we can't see in the dark. Not as well as an Underdark creature can. So obviously they're going to be like a disabled person in the Underdark. Fomorian Butcher. Yeah, the Darrow, well... The Darrow are like the crackheads of the Underdark. Dwergar bankers, yep. And lawyers. Pizza is free if later than 30 seconds. Yeah, vampires running blood drives. Give blood. Cave fishes are unintelligent crayfish, essentially. so they can't be domesticated. My players fell for my evil empire's propaganda and joined their army. What should I do? Go with it. Go with it. Get your players to write down a bunch of army type scenarios. So look over old episodes of China Beach and Band of Brothers and Vietnam shows and stuff like that for encounters that soldiers get up to. So they'll be looking for supplies, overcoming barricades, dealing with petty dictators and stuff. So essentially they're just trying to get by in a campaign. So he gave me more than a chuckle. I thought it was hilarious. Always on stakeout. Mustard Jelly owns a hot dog stand. Say, what kind of relish is this? So we hear you've been spicing your hot dogs with pink slime. No, I run a legitimate business here. That's real roast meat. This is rat. This is rat with pink powder on it. I can see it from here. The real money. Yeah, K-fishes are essentially like a liqueur cooked lobster. Yep, that's exactly what they taste like. Elementals are annoyed engineers. Well, yeah. Flump daycare centre. Flump vegans. Peter's here. Yeah, it's just flumps. It's flumps and myconids. Complaining about the treatment of animals. Yeah, gelatinous cube Roomba. You lift your feet up and then... Yeah, the pink slime would be the crack of Menzoberranzan. It's like, we've got to get rid of this stuff. It's terrible. Hobgoblin defectors. Conscientious objectors. Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist. Purple worms are used as construction equipment by Nyogi, like in the Flintstones, yeah. Now I want a D&D version of Hogan's Heroes and MASH. That's great. Yeah, elementals could handle a lot of trade work. But they'd be like demolition experts. It's like, I wanted an extension to my house. It's like, oh well. You got a hill. What can I say? Well, we're getting close to the end of the stream, everybody. It's been an extra long one today. Pink heads. Crackheads, yeah. Ooh, maybe that's what the pink donut on Pierce's... that Piercer wears could symbolise is the fact that he's an ex-pinkhead. He's reformed. So that's like his 6 months clean donut. And like, if they're confronted by a big pile of pink slime dust powder, you just see the sweat beads pouring off. Sweat beading off the spike. Ooh, yeah. I like that idea. Like an alchemical slime that just converts stuff. So you feed like non-alcoholic stuff into it and it just brews it instantaneously. That's a great idea. A slime still. Yeah, all your water, electrical, welding and boiler operation would be elementals for sure. Azer plumbers. Copper Dragons running a pyramid. Well, Copper Dragons, Blue Dragons and Copper Dragons running a gambling den. Yeah, San Francisco probably could. Intellect Devour Police Dogs. Yeah. A monthly, bi-monthly webcomic like Order of the Stick of the party. Well, it's a possibility, isn't it? We'll see how it goes. I generally operate best if I don't make any promises with creative things. So I'm not making any promises. But I certainly feel inspired. Thanks to you guys. You keep mentioning it. You guys keep talking about it in the comments. And it'll keep the fires burning in me. And we'll see if we can get some comics made. Meanwhile, catch later everybody. I've got a pixie video to make. And some miniatures to paint. So many miniatures to paint. And of course some Pro Jared memes to read. Because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Catch you later everybody. I'll see you again. Same time, same place next week for another live stream on the weekend.